All right, guys. I kind of agree. I couldn't believe 6 people are sitting there waiting on me. So ask questions away. Fire away. What's up, buddy? Helping your parents with the chore? Helping your parents clean the house? And you guys got any math questions? Y'all pick up your packets, look on Schoology today, get your stuff? Anybody have any questions for me? What do you mean by it doesn't make any sense? What's up, nobody cares? Working through the reading. I'm assuming that means English. So Stein, what do you mean by it didn't make any sense? Do you need me to work a problem, kind of walk you through maybe day one of it, or just confused on the layout? Any questions, guys? By creating the transformation. Oh, you're talking about actually creating the mapping? So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to let me work. I'm going to work number one to kind of walk you through how to create the mapping part of it, because that's the hardest part of doing these transformations, creating the mapping. So number one, I give you 2 points, but the 2 points aren't real crucial at first. But what is crucial is the written description. It says, given the pre-image segment AB, the image A prime segment A prime B prime can be created by the following transformations. And I'll tell you, it's a horizontal translation. We're going horizontal left, 17 units. And then we're going up 6 units. Okay, so to create this mapping, we're setting up some sort of point. Something like this. And we're going to have an X and a Y. Because these are just moving up and down, left and right, we're going to either add or subtract to the X or add or subtract to the Y. It's going to be based on our origin. So our X-axis is horizontal. So we're going left or right. So horizontal, left. If you think going left from the origin, we're going towards a negative direction. So that's going to be minus. So this left means minus 17. This horizontal means my X. Minus 17. So my X component of my mapping is X minus 17. Now the up, so this one is vertical. My vertical is my Y, because my Y-axis is vertical. And then we're going up, so that's a plus. Going up is all the positive numbers, and then 6 units. So this becomes Y plus 6. So here's my mapping to number one. And then I tell you to actually do the transformations. And I'll tell you that point A is -3, 8. And that's going to map to this mapping right here, X minus 17, Y plus 6. And then all I'm going to do is take this number and plug it in here. So I'm going to do -3 minus 17. So -3 minus 17 is going to give me -20. And this is going to be my A prime. And we'll take this 8 and I want to plug it in here. And 8 plus 6 is 14. So that's how you're going to work all those problems. Not terribly bad. Cool, nobody cares. Glad you're here for Algebra 2. You got a question? On day 3, previous day station, from week 1, problem 3. All right, Garen, let me grab that packet. I'm going to erase, grab that packet, and work it for you, okay? Don, I hope that kind of cleared up the mapping part of it, because that's all you're going to do on that entire first sheet. You have to ask yourself, horizontally is going to represent the X, left is a minus, right is a plus, vertical is your Y, and an X, down is negative and up is positive. All right. So day 3. Perfect. That's what I'm here for. Let's see. Day 3. Hey, so yeah, day 3. Day 3, previous day, week number 1. Problem 3. All right, Garen, give me a second. I gotta get this pulled up. Y'all see my wife and dog have joined in here. Almost there. Give me a second. There. All right. You said... So, Garen, only work the stuff that you picked up from the packet. I put extra work in there for you guys in case you got bored at home, because I knew you had a bunch of time, spare time on your hands. I know y'all are playing video games and that. It's all right. Camera's still good. What is he doing? So if it's not a question in the packet that the school gave you, I wouldn't worry about it. I'm still waiting to hear what we're going to do with grades on these as well. So kind of hang tight. So if that problem you want me to work is not in the packet, I'm not going to worry about it because you're not responsible for it. It was just extra work. All right, what else? What other questions, guys? What was that? Oh. What are you doing? Where? Uh-huh.
So other two.
Yeah, Garen. Those 16 pages are supposed to be done for fun because math is fun. So they're going to have 3 dogs? Doesn't that violate their...
Other room dog.
That's true. You guys already got questions about the packet y'all picked up today? I know I knocked out that one for geometry. I bet y'all are going stir crazy like I am. At least I got to go to work today for a couple hours. That wasn't terribly bad. Yeah, it is. Come on, man. You've been in my class all year. You know it's fun. You know I think everything in math is fun. Come here, buddy. Say hi to everybody. Say hi to everybody.
Hello. Hi. Hello. Any questions? Yes, I know I'm cute. My name is Coda. I am a West Highland White Terrier. I am 14. Don't make fun of my hair.
So guys, if you're still, the people in here, I'm thinking about only doing one stream a day at 5 o'clock because it's a lot, especially with me going back to work. So I'm probably just going to be doing one stream at 5 o'clock and maybe let it go for an hour and a half if there's a bunch of questions. If not, I'm going to shut it down early. Dude, he's just chilling.
I know.
He's like, what's going on?
Any questions? All right, I'm out of here.
What? Yeah, little Chris. What's up, little Chris? Is there any pool halls open in the area, Chris?
Oh, everything.
I'm pretty sure, but he lives in Temple.
It's still Bell County.
Oh, yeah.
What are you?
Yeah, that's what my wife just said. Everything's shut down. What's Essentials? Oh, yeah, duh. I thought it was a store. Oh, my gosh.
Here.
Oh, my goodness. Guys, anybody got any math questions? If not, I'm just going to pick a random. I'm going to open up one of my textbooks and just pick a random problem and work it just because I'm bored. Just because I'm bored, just like I'm sure you guys are.
Aero Station.
Viral Station Day 6, Problem 5. Thank you for saving me there, buddy. I'm dying up here. All right, so we need to solve for m. The equation is 9m minus 2 squared minus 108 equals 0. All right, so this is written kind of in a unique way. I could do all types of different things to this, but I'm just going to do PEMDAS.
No, wait, hold on. It says day 6, but it's actually day 4 from week
Yeah.
1.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
You don't need to factor this.
No,
Oh, wait.
somebody else.
How do we factor again? Cool. After I'm done with this problem, I will walk you through the AC method of factoring, okay? Because that's kind of crucial. All right. So what I'm going to do here, because I don't have this in a traditional form, the standard form, I actually have this in what's called vertex form. I can actually just solve for m by treating it like it's a linear equation. So I'm going to add 108 to both sides. That's 108. There we go. And this gives me 9m minus 2 squared equals 108. We're going to take the square root on both sides. Now, when you take the square root, make sure you do the plus or minus. So I have 9m minus 2 equals plus or minus the square root of 108. I'm going to break this down. 108, 2, 54, 2, 27, 3, 9, 3, and 3. I'm slightly off the board. So I'm going to look for my pairs. Those are going to go on the outside. So this is going to become 9m minus 2 equals 2 times 3 is 6. Don't forget my plus or minus the square root of 3, which is left underneath. Now from here, I'm just going to solve for m. I'm going to add 2 to both sides. I get 9m equals 2 plus or minus 6 root 3. Divide by 9. And m equals 2 plus or minus 6 square root 3 over 9. And you're done. Nothing really crazy with this, really. Not terribly bad. It's just a little different format than the other problems. All right, so let me work a problem on how to factor, do the AC method of factoring. So we'll find a problem. Let me find a problem where we can work through it. All right, so how to factor. Let me find something. So we're going to factor 8x squared minus 10x plus 3. So we're going to factor this. And the method that I use for factoring is called the AC method. So it's A times C. So that's predicated on the idea of ax squared plus bx plus c. So my a is the number and sign in front of my x squared term. My b is the number and sign in front of the x. And my c is the constant with the sign at the end. So my a and my c in this point is going to be 8 and times 3, because this little dot right there means times. This gives me 24. So this is the first step we got to do, is we got to do the a times c. Once we do a times c, we're going to list all the factors. We have 1, 24, 2, 12, 3, 8, 4, 6, and 5 doesn't go in it. And of course, all these are plus or minus. Every last one of them. Now, because this number is positive, that's going to tell me that both my signs are the same. So it could either be a -1 and a -24, or a +1, +24, because when we multiply them, I get a positive number. What I'm going to now look is, I'm going to look and see what combination of these that multiplied to 24 is going to add to a -10. Did I do this right? Yeah, I'm good. And it's right here. -4, -6. So we know that -4 minus, that's a 4, not a 6. -4 minus 6 is -10, which is my B. So I'm actually going to split that term into 2, and I'm going to create 4 terms. So I'm going to do 8x squared, my original term. I'm going to split this in 2. I'm going to do -4x. I'm going to put a plus a minus 6x. Whenever I have two negatives, I always treat this as a negative number, not a subtraction, so I don't mess my sign up. And then plus 3. I am then going to group the first two and the second two. Always make sure you have a plus sign in the middle. Now we're going to look at each individual pair. Right here, 8x squared and 4x. We're going to factor out the greatest common factor. Well, the greatest common factor here, the 8 and the 4 both have a 4, and the x squared and the x both have an x, which is a 4x. So when I do 4x and I do 8x squared divided by 4x, that just simply leaves me 2x. And then 4x divided by 4x is 1, so that becomes -1. Now, if I look here, my rule that I tell my students is, whenever the sign's negative, always factor a -1 out. So I'm going to factor out the GCF and a -1. So a 6x and a 3, the greatest common factor is a 3, and factor the negative out. So I'm going to factor out a -3, and this gives me 2x minus 1, because 3 divided by -3 is a -1, and -6x divided by -3 is a positive 2x. Now, if you notice, these two are exactly the same. If it's factorable, these will be exactly the same, because that's one of your factors. So that's one of your factors, 2x minus 1. My other factor is just my GCFs, which is going to be 4x minus 3. So that's one of our factors. So these are a factor, and then these are just one factor, even though there's two of them, and then there's one here, because technically you're factoring out a GCF. I hope that helps you on the AC method. Oh. You're talking about my camera? Like this camera? I don't know. You want me to do all the practice problems so you can just copy them and turn them in, Garen, and say that you did them?
Yeah, initial address is not his answer to your question. Good stuff.
Let's see. In the packet week 2, day 5, the practice problems. So the new packet you just got. Oh. Which one do you want me to do on day 5, Garen? What's wrong? Oh, I got you. I'm not doing all of them, dude. I'm not doing all of them. I'll do one and walk you through one of them. I'll even walk, in fact, I'll tell you what I'll do is I will walk you through one of her examples and explain it step by step, because I got you have to do some of this work yourself. I'm not just an online cheater here for you, so you can just ask me questions and I copy everything down. So it's basically asking to find the perimeter of each shape. So I'm going to do the third example. So there's a triangle, and we have, this is 6 times x squared plus x. This is 3 times x minus 1. And this is 7 times x squared plus x. Okay, and they want to find the perimeter. Well, to find the perimeter, all we have to do is sum all the sides. So we just add these 3 together. So I'm going to do 6 times x squared plus x plus 3 times x minus 1 plus 7 times x squared plus x. That's it. That's all it is to find the perimeter. And then from here, we just clean it up. We're going to do distributive property. We're going to combine like terms, all along those lines. So we're going to do hippity-hoppity distributive property on each of these. So we've got 6x squared plus 6x plus 3x minus 3 plus 7x squared plus 7x. Now we're going to combine like terms. I got a 6x squared and a 7x squared. This gives me 13x squared. Those are done. I have a 6x, 9x, plus 7 gives me 16x. Those are done. And then I'll just have the minus 3. And that's the answer. That's how you get the answer. So that's how you're going to work those practice problems. She's got 4 problems like that. You just have to add them all together, combine like terms, and roll with it. This one right here is actually for Algebra 2, Stein. Not geometry, it's for Algebra 2. Even though it has a triangle, it's still Algebra 2. What else, guys? What else? What else? What else? Guys, make sure you tell your friends and everybody else that I'm here, because if you need help, I know they need help too. I have the ability to do this, so I might as well help everybody out. What else? Other questions? I figured there wouldn't be a lot today because y'all just got the packet started looking at them and working through them, plus you have all your other schoolwork. But yeah, I'm going to be here. I'm probably just going to cut it down to 1 stream a day at 5 to probably 6:30ish, unless there's no activity, then I'll shut it down earlier. Just so it makes it a little easier on me, since I'm going to work from actually in the morning and then having to come here and do this in the afternoon. This isn't terribly bad. Yeah, absolutely. Day 1, week 2, question 5.
Yes.
Believe it or not, it's just like the one I worked earlier, except it's got fractions in it. So let's just kind of look. We'll do the points here in a second, but it's all about creating this mapping. You got to be able to create this mapping. In here it says a horizontal translation. So horizontal means it's going to be my x. Translation right. So if we're at the origin and we go right, those are positive numbers, so that's a plus. And then it's 7 over 16. So my mapping for my x is going to be x plus 7/16, because horizontal right, 17 over 16 units, the algebra equation is x plus 7/16. All right, now we have vertical. Vertical is your y, because your y-axis going up and down is vertical. We're going down. Well, if I start at the origin and I go down, I have negative numbers, so that's going to be a minus. and it's 2/3 units. So my equation is y minus 2/3. So my mapping, and you can use parentheses, but technically it's this little, looks like it's like this little angled bracket. It's a vector bracket. It's x plus 7 over 16 and y minus 2/3. Okay, once I have my mapping, all I do is plug in all the points. But the arithmetic will be a little harder because of fractions. So I'm going to work one of them, and I'll let you work the other two. All right, so I'm going to pick the easy one to do. Nah, I'll do A. I'll just start at A. So I have A, which is 2/3 and negative 1/9. Now, if you notice the way I typed it, I put the negative up front, but in math, it's called a free float negative. It's allowed to be up top, on bottom, or out in the front, like I wrote it here. They all mean the same thing. And that's going to map to my mapping here. X plus 7/16 and y minus 2/3. And that's going to give me my A prime. So now I need to do a little bit of scratch work. So I'm going to do 2/3 plus 7/16, because here's my x, I plug it in here, and I have to add. So now I have to get a greatest common factor. But the way I do this is I'm going to multiply here, and 3 times 16 is 48. And then going to multiply up. 16 times 2 is 32. Plus, I'm going to multiply up here. 3 times 7 is 21. I'm going to add those together, and I have 53 over 48. 53, 48, I don't think they have anything that's going to reduce into that. So that is my x value of my image, A prime, 53 over 48. And then we're going to do the same thing for the y. I'm going to take my negative 1/9, and I want to subtract 2/3. In this case, I can actually just multiply this by 3 to get a common denominator. So this would really be the same thing as a negative 1/9 minus, if I multiply everything by 3, 6/9. Do that as a negative up there. And at this point, now I have negative 1 minus 6/9, which is negative 7/9. So that would be my y value, negative 7/9. Done. So that's how you do A. I'll let you do B and C because it's nothing more than adding fractions. The key to this is this mapping. You've got to remember, horizontal means x, right plus, left minus, and then whatever the unit is, what you're adding and subtracting. Vertical is your y going up and down. Down is your negative, up is your positive, and then whatever your unit to set your mapping up. Once you have the mapping, it's just arithmetic at that point. What other questions?
Somebody in school G asked, I can't read the whole thing, about what your school practice too. We're given a question and for equals that mean like x minus 18 and 2 back.
They just email me. I'm actually in my Schoology right now. Did it start with in physics? I gotcha. Day 2, 1, in week 2, day 1, practice 2, we're given question and told the factor. Is x supposed to be? I don't know. Let me look at it. Has anybody asked a question in the chat? I'll get back to that in a second. So, which one is it? Number 3, week 1.
Yeah.
All right. What? Yeah, I see what he's laying on. Garen, is that in the school packet or the one that I put on Schoology for y'all to have fun with? Because the school packet's only got 3 problems. 3 days. Is it the domain and range question, sir?
Unpack it.
Oh, okay. Do. So guys, the way I have this set up is you can submit it a couple different ways. You can submit it online in that student vault, work vault that I have set up. I would prefer you do each day so I can go in and click and I have a record that you've done each day. But if you just take a picture of all of them, put them in one, I'll be able to figure it out. Some people have not been able to do it and they've just emailed me pictures on Schoology. That's fine too. The school is set up where you can actually drop off your work and put it into a bin. And then that will eventually work its way to me. I don't know how many days it'll take to get to me, but I would eventually get it that way. So you have a lot of different options to get the work back to me. All right, day 3. What was it? On which document? There's 4 documents.
I'm sorry. Fire station date.
The problem
with
and P prime. Day 3. Go look at. Did he give you the name of the document? Oh wait, I'm in. It would help if I was actually in Algebra 2 and not. Day 3, previous day, number 3.
No, sir.
What is he scratching his back on the? Okay, I got you. Okay. What? All right, guys. So, Garen, I think this is the one you're talking about. I want you to use point P to find P prime. This is actually aligned with what we've been doing in geometry. So we have a point which is 4, 16, and I give you an equation. F of x equals negative 2x minus 1 squared plus 3. Okay, so we have to set up a vector mapping, but what's different between geometry and this is in geometry I'm giving you words, and the words actually tell you what to do. Here I'm giving you an equation. Hopefully my dog's nails aren't too loud on my hardwood floor here. All right, so what we have to remember on this is how I taught you to pull the information out to set our vector mapping up. What we have to remember is everything inside the parent function, in this case, x squared. So my parent function, if I'd write a parent function g of x, I'll call this my parent function, is going to be x squared. So anything inside this square, these parentheses, is only going to affect the x's, but it's counterintuitive. It's opposite. So I have an x minus 1 on the inside, so I'm going to do the opposite of that. So my mapping there is going to be x plus 1. Now everything on the outside affects my y's, and it's not counterintuitive. So if I'm multiplying, I just multiply. If I add, I'm just adding. So I have a negative 2 times f of x, basically, plus 3. So I have a negative 2y plus 3. And here's my vector mapping. Once I have the vector mapping, this is nothing more than geometry, a point-to-point transformation. So we have point P, which is 4, 16. That's going to map to the mapping right here, x plus 1 and negative 2y plus 3. We just simply plug it in to get my P prime. This is my pre-image. This is my image. So I'm going to do 4 plus 1, which gives me 5. And I'm going to do 16. 16 times negative 2 is negative 32. Plus 3 should give me negative 29. And that's all there is to that problem. The key is setting up that mapping, just like in geometry. Setting up that mapping is the key. What else? Whatever, Eddie. I'm here to help you. What other questions, guys? What other questions?
Well, so that problem where you broke down the square root earlier.
Uh-huh.
Do they know how to break down square roots?
Yeah, they're supposed to have learned how to do that in junior high, and we worked on it in class. It's not the first time they've seen it.
Yeah, I know. So you
I'll have to.
went off the screen, but you
I know.
do it.
Yeah, we did this in class. We've done this about 4 times in class with 4 different parent functions. In fact, we're going to be doing it again with the 5th parent function. So, yeah, I've given you the written description like I'm doing with geometry. You have the equation, we have to pull it out. Remember back when I had it on the giant board in the back, all what these A, B, C, and D are? That's what this is.
Then you stand there at me. Hoping it.
He is picky. Any more questions? I figure as y'all start getting into these packets and you'll have more questions for me. So guys, I think I'm going to skip the 5 o'clock stream today. Give you guys a chance to build it up, and then I will do a 5 o'clock stream tomorrow for about an hour, hour and a half, and just do one a day. Because really, when we're in school, I just do tutorials really for 30 minutes. So, what is he doing? My dog is literally laying underneath my camera, and if he bumps it hard, he's going to move my tripod. Spiral Station Day 2, number 5 for Algebra 2. All right, nobody cares. Let me look at this. Spiral Station Day 2, number 5 from Algebra 2. Okay. So we'll do the 5 o'clock today, and then tomorrow we'll just switch to just 1 at 5 o'clock.
Right.
Works for me.
Right.
All right.
So people at 5 o'clock today.
Yep. Spiral Station Day 2, number 5. You have to wait to hear from the school district. That's all I can say. So number 5, you're talking about the height of the ball, the physics problem? All right, cool. So let me project it up there, and then I will read it. Give me a quick second. Ooh, my face is covered. Ooh, I'm headless. All right. Okay, it says the height of the ball. A ball is projected upward from the ground. It hits a height h. Its height h above the ground in feet can be determined by the equation h equals negative 16t squared plus 128t, where t is the number in seconds after the ball is projected. For what time or times t is the ball 256 feet above the ground? Well, really what they just gave me in the problem is they gave me h. They told me h is 256. And then they tell me h of t equals negative 16t squared plus 128t. So this isn't terribly bad. I know what h of t is. I know what h is. That's 256. I'm going to set it equal. I'm going to set 256 equal to this and just solve it. So I'm going to get 256 equals negative 16t squared plus 128t minus, nope, leave it like that. Now I'm going to subtract 256 because it's a quadratic. We get it set equal to 0. So I'm going to have negative 16t squared. I know some of you are like, wait, it should be on the other side. I'm also using the property of equality. Negative 16t squared plus 128t minus 256 equals 0. So really, I just subtracted 256 here and then just flipped it. That's all I did because I'm used to seeing this in the front. Now, I guarantee you on these problems in the high school, this number right here is going to factor out. So 16, I'm going to take a negative 16 out of 128. So 128 divided by negative 16, if I actually type it in right, 128 divided by negative 16. So I'm going to factor out a negative 16, and that's going to give me a t squared minus 8t, and then this should be 16. Should be 16, but it'll be plus 16 equals 0. Negative and a negative. Yep. Watch your signs. Yep. All right. Now from here, this 16 is pointless because I can divide both sides by 16, and I'm going to get 0 divided by negative 16, which is 0. So you can rewrite this just as t squared minus 8t plus 16 equals 0. Hey, this factors. This factors. So I get t minus... Oh, it's not 18. I wrote it wrong. Yeah, it's 8. I was like, oh, it doesn't factor. No, I wrote it wrong. Be careful when you write. So t minus 4 squared equals 0. Take the square root of both sides. The square root of 0 is just 0. So t minus 4 equals 0. Therefore, t equals 4 seconds. And of course, you know my deal with word problems. If it has words in it, your answer should have words in it. But I'm going to be lazy, and I'm not going to write it. But it should be something where you restate the question, where you would say, at 4 seconds, the ball will be 256 or whatever. The ball's 256 feet above the ground. Something along those lines. What other questions, guys? What else? What else? I mean, if they need help, more power to them. More people on here asking me questions, the less bored I am. This at least justifies the money I spent in this. That's true, but it's still money I didn't have to spend in it. We got an amazing deal on these lights. It's like, what, $170 off? $200 something off? I mean, little Chris, you do have a master's degree, so I hope you can keep up with high school math. Hey, Chris, do you know anything about CSS programming or HTML5? I'm trying to figure out how to get this chat bigger on the screen, but I have to do CSS or HTML5 in my program, and I can't figure it out.
Precious to lay on the floor.
Oh my goodness. He has to lay on the backdrop. Oh, no, never mind.
Yeah, like he
can't find a place.
oh. I'll subtract.
Oh. I will figure out how to make this chat bigger. I'll figure it out sooner or later. All right, subtracting polynomials. Let me look at one of the examples she has, and I'll walk you through it. All right. I'm using OBS. OBS, and then, of course, through YouTube. multiplying. All right, guys, so I'm going to actually walk through the example 1 that is in the high school packet, which gives me 5x squared plus 3x minus 6 minus 3x squared minus x plus 5. All right, so we're subtracting polynomials here. Here's a polynomial, subtracting another polynomial. The biggest mistake I see in high school, and the biggest mistake I see, period, is this sign right here. Just because there's not a number in front of it doesn't mean you don't distribute. You have to distribute the subtraction to everything. That is the biggest mistake I see. So really what this means is I'm going to change all of these signs. I'm going to get rid of the parentheses. If there was a negative here, we'd have to do the same thing. But there isn't, so I'm just going to drop these parentheses, and I'm going to get 5x squared plus 3x minus 6. But now I'm going to change the sign of a positive 3x. So I'm going to distribute a negative 1 times a positive 3x gives me a negative 3x squared. Negative times a negative gives me a positive x, and a negative times a positive gives me a negative 5. And then from here, we just combine like terms. So we have a 5x squared minus 3x squared, which is just 2x squared. Those are done. I have a 3x plus an x. This gives me 4x. Those are done. And a negative 6 minus 5 gives me minus 11. And there's your answer. The key is when you're subtracting polynomials, you must distribute this negative to everything in this polynomial, or you'll get the problem wrong. What else? What else? It's a quick 47 minutes. He was literally laying right in front of the camera. You see him?
Yeah, I see him.
Bow down to me.
Cody's been a little Premadonna since he's been put on YouTube. He has been huffing and barking and like saying, "This is my house."
It also,
That's true. He's just going back to his old ways. Yeah, guys, if you're wondering what I'm doing to actually how I'm streaming in that, you know I am. I already have geometry done for next week, and I will have algebra 2 done for next week. So you know I'm going to send y'all work. Y'all ain't getting off the hook. But yeah, I'm using OBS. It's a free program called Open Broadcast Software. A little bit of a steep learning curve to figure it out, but not terribly bad. Most of the hints I've gotten have been from 12 and 13-year-old gamers that have been streaming online. I've been watching their videos on how they stream. I agree, nobody cares. You know you're going to get some work. Oh, I don't know. Any more questions, guys? I could really go to play pool right now when I absolutely can't. I'm like jonesing to play.
playing the live chat.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I'm doing is I'm using a browser source, and then when I open it up, week 2.
Packets for all.
So the school has set up the packets, and you're going to have Algebra 2 is all going to have the same packet. Geometry is all going to have the same packet from that aspect. But because I have the setup here where I can make videos that correlate with those packets, the other teachers are helping me come up with questions, but I'm compiling everything and then making videos for everybody. So it can make this digital learning a little easier instead of just trying to do it all through print. So I'm compiling those two, but it's a team effort through Algebra 2 and Geometry. But yeah, hold that thought, because we as teachers don't have quite that answer yet either. So as soon as we find out from the district and the district releases it, you'll find out. Don't sit there and do nothing. You need to still be working, because if it comes up that it's for a grade and you haven't done anything for 2 or 3 weeks, then you are way behind. And then you're going to be scrambling. So you want to be doing this constantly as you're getting this work. So when all this information comes out, you're already ready to go and you're not behind the curve. All right, so week 2, day 5, bottom problems. I'm assuming algebra 2. So I'm going to work one of them so you can work the other, because the example doesn't exactly cover this. So I'm going to work the one that's a trapezoid, the 4-sided figure. I'm assuming it's a trapezoid, even though it doesn't say that those bases are parallel. So we really could technically only call it a quadrilateral, if you remember that from geometry. That is not the picture. There. That's horrible. That's horrible. All right. And then we have 9ab plus 8a squared. Then we have 7b squared minus 2ab. Then we have 4a squared minus 4ab. And we don't know this, but they tell me the perimeter. My perimeter is actually 9b cubed minus 2ab plus 12a squared. Okay, so this isn't a terribly bad problem. You have to understand how to find the perimeter. To find the perimeter, we're going to have to sum all these sides. So sum means we're going to add. So I don't know what this is right here. Right, so I'm going to put a question mark there. And I want to solve for the question mark. And when I solve for the question mark, I'll have my answer. So I'm going to set this up where I'm going to add all my sides, and that's going to equal my perimeter here. So let's just start here. I'm going to have 4a squared minus 4ab plus 9ab plus 8a squared plus my question mark plus oh yeah, right here, 9b squared. Thank you. Good catch. Thank you, thank you. No, that's fine, because I would have realized something was wrong here in a second. 9b squared minus 2ab plus 12a squared. Okay, a little bit off the screen, but I'm going to kind of condense. So the first thing I'm going to do intuitively as a math person is I'm going to look to try to simplify this long thing. Instead of trying to move each individual term over, I'm going to try to simplify. And the way I'm going to do that is by combining like terms. So what I do see is I have an a squared. So I want to combine all my a squared. So I have a 4a squared here and an 8a squared here. Now I cannot go across this equal sign right here. So I have 4 and 8. This gives me 12a squared. So these are done. Guys, if you notice how I put the lines to that, that comes from experience. I've worked so many of these problems where I mess things up. I just started crossing them out, and it makes my life a lot easier. All right, so now I'm going to go to this AB. I want to look for something else that has an AB. So I have a negative 4AB, a 9AB, and a negative 2AB. So I can simplify this down. So 4 minus 9 is 5, minus 2 is 3. So I have plus 3AB. So these are done. Now I have plus, I only have 1b squared, 7b squared, plus my question mark. That's a horrible question mark. That just made it even worse. Question mark. And that's going to equal my 9b squared minus 2ab plus 12a squared. Now from here, all I do is solve for a question mark. I'm going to subtract my 12a squared And I'm going to subtract my 12a squared. I'm going to line them up with my a's. I'm going to subtract my 3ab. I'm going to subtract 3ab. And then I'm going to subtract my 7b squared. 7b squared. Therefore, my question mark, all I have to do is do 9 minus 7, which is going to give me 2b squared. Negative 2 and negative 3 gives me a negative 5ab. And 12 minus 12 is 0. There's your answer. There's your missing side. So not terribly bad. You just have to know the concept of the perimeter, combine like terms, and then just subtract each term over. I mean, we could have done it as a whole polynomial. I think that was the intent, but it's easier just to subtract term for term. What other questions?
So you like using the question mark versus making it an X or a
I do, especially. I like using the question mark because it just means unknown. Whereas sometimes we start using X's and Y's and Z's, they think it's another term. Right. You could really use anything, but over the years, the kids have responded better to question mark because then they know that that's what they're looking for. That's the question. Anybody else? Well, guys, that's been an hour. So I'm going to go ahead and shut this stream down. I will be back up at 5, and then going forward, I'm only going to be doing one stream a day from 5. I'll probably go up to from 5 to 6:30, unless there's no questions. I'm going to shut it down a little earlier. And yeah, there's a little more questions. I may go a little later. It just kind of depends. So hopefully this helped some of you guys out. Tell your friends and everybody else, because I know if you have questions, they have questions too. Also tell them if they had a question about what I answered here, just tell them about it and they can go in and watch it as well. Why did he knock over the towel? Oh my goodness. He knocked over the towel to lay on the towel.
Yeah.
You can't see the reflection though. Actually, it's better without the towel. It gets rid of the reflection altogether. Yeah, he did me a favor. Being selfish. All right, let's shut this down.